In this video, we'll be learning how to grade patterns from scratch in VStitcher. Here we have a simple dress, and we want to have it in 5 sizes. The base size currently is medium. We are going to add extra small, small, large, and extra large. To begin, we load the sizes in grading pane using the keyboard shortcut Alt-G. First, we add the different sizes. We click Add Size, and Biggest twice to give us the 2 larger sizes. We click Add Size and Smallest twice to give us the 2 smaller sizes. Then we rename the sizes by double-clicking each one and typing in the correct label. Great! Let's get started with grading. To grade a garment, we use the grade points on the base size. The outline of the pattern pieces for the other sizes is plotted by reference to those base size grade points. Grade points on the base size are colored white. When grading, we need to select a grade point. Note that by default, all corner points of the base size are grade points. However, as mentioned in a previous lesson, we can configure any point on the base size to be a grade point by selecting it and then selecting Grade Point in the Sizes and Grading pane. There are 2 ways to grade in VStitcher, visually and manually. Let's look at the visual grading first. Visual grading is grading using your mouse. In the 2D window, we drag each grade point to where we want it to be. We are simply eyeballing the grading. As we grade, we can see the results in the table in the Sizes and Grading pane. If we want to set standard increments for each grade point, we can use the manual method of grading. We do this much in the same way as we would grade patterns in the 2D CAD system. We can make changes to the position of each grade point on the X and Y axis and make such changes incrementally from the base size grading point or relative to the base size grading point. Just one thing to take note. In VStitcher, the use of y-axis positive and negative values matches the approach of typical 3D software, but this is different from pattern CAD systems that use the traditional method. In other words, to move a point up the screen, we use a negative number on the y-axis, and moving a point down the screen, we use a positive number on the y-axis. To make changes incrementally, we can use these arrows or fill in the increments in the incremental columns on the rule table. For instance, the shoulder point needs an increment of 0.3 on the X and Y axis. We input 0.3 to set the increment value and use the arrows to determine the direction. We will move 0.3 up and 0.3 to the right. The rule table is updated with the grade rules we have added. In the 2D window, the grading is displayed with each color indicating a size. These colors are the same as the colors indicated in the rule table, so we can check if the grading is correct. On the Sizes and Grading pane, below the rule table, the measurement of the adjacent edges to the point is displayed. When we hover our cursor over a value, the edge is highlighted in the 2D window for easy reference. This gives us an extra way of checking that the grading is correct. Note that the Adjacent Edges section is only available in version 2021.1 and newer. When using the arrows to set increments, we can see all the sizes have the same incremental value. If we need to set different incremental values on only a specific size, we can input the value into the rule size manually. For example, for extra small and extra large, we want to set an incremental of 0.4 instead of 0.3 for both the X and Y axis. We can double-click on the values in the table and edit them accordingly. Let's move on to the other point on the shoulder edge. It follows the same grade rules as the other point of the shoulder, so we can simply copy the grade rules of this point and paste XY to copy the same incremental values on both the X and Y axis. Under the Paste option, we have options to paste the copied rules on the X-axis only, the Y-axis only, or both. Another method of grading is by adjusting the values that are relative to base size. A change relative to the base is the total change measured from that grading point to the base size grading point. Let's adjust the center front grade point. For size small and large, we want to adjust by 0.3 centimeters relative to base. For extra small and extra large, we want to adjust a total of 0.5 centimeters relative to base along the y-axis. As seen in the table, we grade the sizes. The grading settings are dynamically linked, so if we make a change to an incremental value, relative to base is automatically updated, and the other way around. The neckline is not even. To fix this, let's change the point along the neckline to a grade point. We copy the grading from the center front and paste Y on this new grade point. When grading, we can multi-select grade points that are using the same grade rules before adjusting the incrementals. Let's adjust the Y values for the hem points to have a 2 cm increment. And now we have completed the grading for the front pattern. We can repeat the same process for the back pattern. Alternatively, if they use the same grade rules as the points on the front bodice, we can use the copy and paste functions to quickly and easily grade the back pattern. We copy the grade rules from the shoulder point and paste XY on the back pattern. Here we see that the grading is incorrect and it is flipped. Let's fix this. We flip the grading by selecting Flip XY. This flips the grading on both the X and Y axis. Similar to the paste function, Flip has options which allow us to flip grading only on the X-axis, only on the Y-axis, or both. We continue copying and pasting the grade rules from the front pattern to the back pattern, but we paste on the back right pattern so we don't have to flip all the grading. We have completed the grading for this garment. The last option is setting a static grade point. Setting a static grade point means that the point selected is the stacking point or the 0 point. This is only if we want to set one particular point to be the stacking point. The default stacking point for every pattern is the center of the pattern, so if we want the grading to be stacked to the center of the piece, then there is no need to set any of the points to be static. Just one thing to note, after a static point is set, it's not possible to change the static point back to be at the center of the pattern. We would need to undo that action. So if we want the grading to be set at the center of the piece, we know not to set any other points as static. Here's an example of what setting a static point does. And that concludes our look at how we grade a pattern from scratch in VStitcher. For more information, visit support.browseware.com.